Welcome back to Tuning into Ukraine, where we dive into the stories shaping our world today. And today we're talking about Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko's latest so-called election victory, and how Belarus has evolved into a full-fledged accomplice of Russia in its war against Ukraine. It's time for a serious conversation about holding Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko accountable for his role in Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. For decades, Lukashenko has terrorized its own people, stealing elections, imprisoning tens of thousands, and driving hundreds of thousands into exile. But since February 2022, he's taken his brutality beyond Belarus' borders, becoming a key accomplice to Vladimir Putin's war of aggression. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. On January 26, Belarusian state media proudly announced that Alexander Lukashenko won over 87% of the vote in the latest presidential election. According to state agency Belta, this exit poll paints Lukashenko as an unstoppable leader. But there is one small problem. No one outside his circle believes this. Opposition groups, European leaders, and Belarusian civil society have all labeled the process as fraudulent. In fact, EU leaders condemned the elections as neither free nor fair, pointing out the severe repression, lack of media freedom, and total absence of political competition. But Lukashenko, ruling Belarus with an iron fist for over 3 decades, couldn't care less. He dismissed international criticism outright, saying recognition by the EU doesn't matter. The only recognition he seems to care about comes from Moscow. Let's talk about how Belarus is playing its role in the Russian-Ukrainian war. While Lukashenko avoids sending Belarusian troops directly into Ukraine, his regime is far from neutral. In fact, Belarus has become a logistical base for Russian military operations. Belarusian factories manufacture weapons and components for Russia, ensuring a steady supply chain away from Ukraine's counterstrikes. It's no secret that Belarus is a quiet harbor where missiles, petroleum products, and other war resources are made without fear of destruction. Recently, Lukashenko announced the deployment of Russia's new Oreshnik missile system in Belarus. His plan? Station it strategically near Smolensk, a location that benefits Moscow's war goals. Belarus' role doesn't stop at logistics. Former military and political insiders report the formation of at least 14 new detachments of Belarusian and Wagner forces. These units could soon be deployed to support Russian troops in the Kursk region, acting as backup forces in the ongoing war. And let's not forget the economic side of this alliance. Belarusian arms manufacturers aren't just helping Russia, they're profiting from it, charging Russia hefty fees for military parts. This is a war partnership with financial perks for Minsk. And the most horrifying revelation, Belarus' involvement in the systematic abduction of Ukrainian children. Democratic forces have presented evidence that over 2,000 Ukrainian children were forcibly transferred to the so-called health camps and sanatoriums in Belarus. Let's be clear, this is an act of genocide under the UN Genocide Convention. The world cannot turn a blind eye to this crime. So what does the future hold for Belarus? Opposition leader Svetlana Tsikhanovskaya has made it clear, change in Belarus is tied to Ukraine's victory. A weaker Putin means a weaker Lukashenko, and that could finally open the door to democracy. But there is a risk. If Lukashenko sends troops into Ukraine, Belarus could face direct strikes on its industrial and energy infrastructure, crippling its economy overnight. It's a tightrope walk for Lukashenko, but one thing is clear, his regime is not invincible. Belarus is no longer just a dictatorship. It's an enabler of war hiding in the shadow of Moscow while profiting from the conflict. The world is watching, and so are we. Stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, question everything. See you in the next episode.